As a kid, I used to ride my bike up the Paseos to a local park to get all my practice in. I'd have a bucket of balls on one handlebar, another bucket of balls on the other handlebar, have my shoulder tube kind of underneath my arm, resting on the handle of the bike. You don't think that you're going to necessarily go back to that once you make it to the big leagues. But those experiences that I've had, being alone and figuring out how to get my practice in and get my work in, have really prepared me for this moment. I've always been excited for seasons, but it used to be to prove my teammates wrong or prove my coaches wrong or the support staff or whatever, because coming up in high school, I didn't have a lot of support of my teammates or my coaches. But this year was different for me. It was about being excited to do something with a group of guys that I really love. And so when we found out the news that the season was put on hold, everyone's first thought was with their family. And after their family, it was with their friends, their teammates, those that are close to them. It was a good check-in on what's really important to us as people. You know, it's humans first, it's relationships first, and then baseball kind of comes second. And then after all that, you know, it started to set in after a couple days of not being at the field. There's a lot of questions. What were we training for? Were we going to train? How were we going to train? Where were we going to train? A lot of these things that are still unanswered. But at no time in our baseball careers have we ever not known what we were preparing for. We've always had spring training at a certain date. The season always ends on a certain date. It starts on a certain date. You have the schedule ahead of time. You know the routine. You got 3.5 months for the off season, then a month and a half of spring training, then 6 months of season. And if you're lucky, you get playoffs. Now we don't know what we're training for, if there's even going to be a season. Is there going to be playoffs? Are we going to be at spring training complexes or in the home city? We don't know any of this. So it's really hard to prepare for something that you don't even know what's going to happen. So some of those lessons that I learned as a kid about how to get my work in with no guarantees and going up to the park on Saturday and Sunday nights and throwing and getting my work into trying to improve, they've really prepared me for this moment. This whole situation has kind of served to connect me back to my roots. I think it's a good perspective for all the guys now, especially with all the uncertainty, to just check back in with why we love the game, what made us fall in love with it in the first place, and kind of bring that energy once season comes back, because at the end of the day, we all just want baseball back.